Austin Hargrave. All I'm thinking is, I'm going to die. Howard Stern reveals cancer scare, Trump regrets and details of Dishy new book by Lacey Rose May 8, 2019, 4 a.m. PDT After health crisis that had him scared? Less. The $90 million a year radio legend opens up about retirement, the one time he lied to his listeners, and his metamorphosis from shock jock to insightful interviewer. It feel really effing stiff hadnt evolved. On Wednesday, May 10, 2017, for the first time in memory, Howard Stern abruptly canceled that day's show. His listeners, famously loyal subset of SiriusXM's 36 million subscribers, made the boundary-pushing shock jock part of their lives since he rose to prominence in the 80s, were understandably alarmed. Reddit lit up with crackpot theories, and handful of dogged reporters tracked down the host's elderly parents to check up on him. By Monday, the self-described king of all media was back on the radio, poking fun at the hullabaloo, as many hoped he would. It was just the flu, he told his audience. Why is it such big deal that took fucking day off? Turns out, he was lying through his teeth. On the morning in question, Stern wasn't home with fever or runny nose. He was being carted into surgery. For the better part of the previous year, had been shuttling between appointments as doctors monitored low white blood cell count revealed during routine checkup and, later, discovered growth on his kidney. The chance that it was cancerous, 90%. For a man who lives his life on air, divulging such personal details as his first wife's miscarriage and his reputedly undersized penis, had been uncharacteristically discreet about his latest struggle. In fact, he told only his very inner circle, group that included his second wife, Beth, his 3 daughters, his therapist, and his on-air foil of nearly 4 decades, Robin Quivers, herself cancer survivor. Until all this, Stern had considered himself invincible. At 65, his 6'5" frame was still enviably trim, his head endowed with thick mop of curls. He ate well and exercised often. Cancer was ridiculous notion. And now all I'm thinking is, I'm going to die, he recalls in an interview, his first time discussing the health issue publicly. And I'm scared shitless. Couple of hours and 7 incisions to his abdomen later, he came out of surgery to learn it had all been scare. Tiny, harmless cyst. The news should have been comforting. But for the first time in Stern's adult life, had come face to face with his own mortality, and now there was no turning back. In the 24 months since, has found himself wondering often if has done it all wrong. Despite amassing fame and fortune unrivaled in his medium, Stern says has mountain of regret. He beats himself up over the father he couldn't be to those 3 girls, now grown and living elsewhere. And the husband he never was to their mother, Allison, who finally left him in 1999. He can't read his first 2 best-selling books, Private Parts, 1993, and Miss America, 95. Without cringing at his own narcissism, and he insists nearly every one of the interviews he conducted during his pre-satellite radio days makes him sick. I was so completely fucked up back then, he says, his head shaking with disgust on This Morning in early April. I didn't know what was up and what was down, and there was no room for anybody else on the planet. His more recent metamorphosis, the result of age, healthy marriage and intensive therapy, has revealed sensitivities he didn't know he had. It's also sharpened his skills as an interviewer. Dressed now like an aging rocker with pair of dark jeans, boots and his signature shades perched just above his brows, Stern is sprawled out on the charcoal gray couch usually reserved for guests in his Midtown Manhattan studio. Hess explaining how his brush with cancer is key reason he agreed to write his first book in 2 decades, Howard Stern Comes Again, curated collection of edited transcripts from his favorite interviews, with everyone from Billy Joel to Donald Trump, more on him later, wrapped in his own memories and candid self-reflection. There's considerably more in the book on his health scare too, along with his musings on fame, sex and spirituality. It's as much his autobiography in conversation as it is tour through American pop culture over the last 20 years, says Jonathan Karp, publisher of Simon Schuster, which will release the book May 14. That brush is also the reason Stern's been having real discussions about what's next once his contract with SiriusXM, which reportedly pays him $90 million a year, expires at the end of 2020. I'm at place now where I'm trying to figure out how to spend the rest of my life, however long that might be, he says. Has been flirting with the idea of retirement in conversation with close friends and, occasionally, on the air. It seems weird to me not to have this, he nods at the desk where he spends 4 to 5 hours 3 mornings a week, but maybe it would.